It's time for the unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Featuring site publishers Carey Murdoch and Josh McCuistion, along with videographer Eddie Radosevich. It's the unofficial 40 on Soonerscoop.com.
All right, welcome back. It is another edition of the unofficial 40. And we finally have football, ladies and gentlemen. Football is here. We've been out to several practices. We had a chance to catch up with a lot of players and coaches. Some of those you'll hear from here today on the podcast. And welcome in Josh McCuistion joining us from Home Safe Home. Josh, welcome.
I'm glad to be here. I don't know why I get the anointed first welcome, but I appreciate it.
It's probably because we don't have a lot to talk about with you today. Eddie Radosevich is here as well, and Bob Prisbillo. Bob, we only have an hour with, so he's got to scat out of here. He's got to go do important, real radio work. So we're just idiots on the podcast. First off, first order of business. Want everybody listening to know, and this is a limited time offer because if you're not a subscriber to the Sooner Scoop, to Soonerscoop.com, and you've always thought, I think I want to do that. I think I want to be able to go and talk to Josh and Bob and Eddie and Carey anytime I want. And trust me, I've been up all night getting ready for this thing, got story content loaded from the site. Our content is out our asses right now. It's everywhere on the website because spring football is rolling, or fall camp is rolling. And
preseason camp.
I call it fall camp.
I know, and it's kind of messed up.
When it's 100 degrees out and you're sweating your balls off.
It feels like fall today.
Yeah.
So we got that
But
going.
It's fall camp. You're not going to screw with that.
All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
So fall camp is in full swing. They are finally in full pads. We've waited 4 days for that to happen. And there's no better time for you to be a member of Soonerscoop.com. Now, we've had photo galleries. We've had practice updates every day. We've got stories going right now. Bob's got lots of stuff he's working on. I've even put up a couple stories today. And so if you're saying, I thought about subscribing to Sooner Scoop, but I just haven't done it yet, well, you have no reason not to do it because right now, we all know that, we talk about 20% of our show is probably talking about Jordan brand stuff these days. And at the Rivals Fan Shop, it's run by Fanatics, which runs Oklahoma's official fan shop. So it's all the same stuff. Stuff you can get on our site. I don't think there's anything exclusive like the OU's official site that you can get there that you can't. There might be some stuff. But the Jordan brand stuff, if you guys want a piece of that, we are going to give you, if you're not subscribing to Sooner Scoop, maybe you let your subscription lapse, maybe you've never done it before, sign up for a 1-year subscription, $99.95. We will give you a $99 gift certificate to the Sooner Scoop Rivals fan store that's chocked full of Jordan gear right now. So basically, we're paying you to sign up for a year because you want the Jordan brand stuff. That stuff is flying off the shelves. We have it in stock, though. So use the promo code GetGear99. Go look at our Twitter page at Sooner Scoop. You get the links there on how to sign up. If you're already registered, there's a link there that automatically puts the promo code GetGear99 in the box for you. All you have to do is pick an annual subscription, sign up. Boom, within 72 hours, you're going to have a gift certificate to go get your Jordan gear, $99 worth in the fan shop. So there's not a better deal. We're basically giving away a year subscription. And you're getting stuff.
And
certain exclusions apply, and that is one of them. We will not.
That's not part of the promo? I read that wrong then.
And we just lost our sponsors. By the way, big news coming soon on that as well. Really big news. Going to be great news for the podcast. So anyway, let's get to what we've seen out at camp. Really, only one tragic situation that's happened so far. And Lincoln Riley announced that yesterday before he even took any questions.
Yeah, before we get started, one injury I want to pass along. Starrland Baldwin re-tore his ACL that he had repaired right before he got here. Did it in a non-contact a couple days ago. Hope for the best, but got the official word on that. So Starrland will have surgery here in the next few days. We'll miss this season. We'll do the full red shirt. Probably won't be available for the 4 games.
Terrible news. But it's not like Starrland Baldwin was a guy that everybody's like, oh, he's in the mix at corner. They're in pretty good shape. They're in such good shape at corner, they're giving them to the safety position. So, now I'm trying to think, Josh, did he tear that at the beginning of his senior year?
Very first game.
I think in like the first quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, he's played. He's going to go almost 2 years of playing almost no football.
A non-contact injury. So he was probably running through some cones or something like that, and that's terrible. I mean, but
Bob, do you remember? I almost want to say his senior year was non-contact as well.
I think so, and I thought it was that receiver.
Yeah. I think he was just out running a route or something. Like I don't think there was anything special about it.
So he'll have to rehab, and as Lincoln said, their own doctors will be working on it, and they'll be able to do the rehab there so that they'll do it the right way. I thought it was interesting. I saw like the worst quote, and I don't have it to play, and I was going to use it in the notebook that I made, but somebody asked Kenneth Murray about it, and I don't think Kenneth Murray knew who Starrland Baldwin was, because it was a very generic, you never want to see guys go down, and he's like, I pray every day I don't get injured. I pray every day none of my teammates get injured. And I was just like, I'm not using that quote. Like, that's not advancing the story at all. So, I mean, when you're in the middle of camp, though, I can get that. Like, you can't really be concerned, when you're rushing the beach, you can't be concerned about the guys that are getting whacked behind you.
That's a weird person
That's why
to
I wouldn't
ask.
have been a good soldier. I just have too big of a heart.
No, yeah, I bet.
We had Trey Norwood, Jordan Parker. We had guys that you could actually ask.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kenneth Murray, I'm sure, does
I don't
not
know who asked that.
interact with Starrland.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was an idiot.
I don't know. We cannot confirm that.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know who it was, but I'm sure it was.
So anyway, that is really a very small part of what's happened at camp so far. Really, would you say that the biggest story / non-story of camp, I think we can all agree on what that would be, can't we?
Go ahead and let Eddie take this one.
Eddie?
Please don't tell me it's what I think it's going to be.
Just
Because after we worry about what Kyler Murray's doing in 2019, let's worry about who OU's recruiting in 2027. That's about as important as that issue is.
here you go. You
Now
asked
that
for
he
it.
doesn't have that extra year, how much
Jesus
is there a
Christ,
different
I don't
mindset
understand
you
it.
notice with Kyler, knowing that this is his final year?
Well, I'm not going to really decide how I want to handle that. We'll see if it's his final year. That hasn't been determined yet. I'm not worried about it. If it is or if it isn't, that's going to have no impact on this year.
When you say that the A's have intimated that it is that something that's being negotiated?
You
still?
can hear
like
the
I've said
ESPN
the whole
boner
time,
getting hard.
I've stayed out of the negotiation stuff with the A's. That's not my business. It's his business. But my hope through this whole thing, which is the case, is that Kyler is going to be able to do what he wants to do. And if he wants to go play baseball after this year, then we'll wish him well and be happy for him. But it's the ball's going to be in his court, and which is where it should be. He's the one that's done it.
All right, before Eddie completely loses his mind, I just want to play this out because Jason Kersey used his connections with The Athletic, talked to Scott Boras. Scott Boras says, no, that's the plan. He's playing for 1 year, and then he's going to be a baseball player. Well, Kyler was asked again because he got to talk to us on Monday. That was Friday.
Right.
When Lincoln said that. And then we talked to Kyler on Monday, and it was kind of weird, too.
After being drafted, do you have a different mindset, different focus going into this year?
Not at all. I mean, I play this year like it's my last year. If I had it, if I were to come back next year, I mean, to me, it's national championship or failure. So that's just how I look at it.
Are you thinking about coming back next year?
I'm worried about this season. The season on.
You were a guy kind of coming off the Cape last year.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was like, well, he's probably not going to be a high draft pick in baseball. And then you had a season that surpassed everybody's expectations. Go as a number one draft pick. You go into this season, you're a quarterback at Oklahoma. We know what the ceiling for a guy in your position is. What if you didn't, have a Baker-like season?
Yeah.
What does that do?
I mean, that's for them to decide. I mean, obviously right now, I'm going to play baseball, but I'm like I said, I'm focused on this season. If whatever happens, happens. But right now, my destiny is, it's already we already know what's happening. So for me, go out here this season and be successful is the plan.
And now I just await for Eddie to jump over the table and attack me.
I just don't understand why we're talking about it. Who cares? It's a year from now. We can
I'll tell you who cares. Like everyone that roots for OU cares.
There's a season yet to be played.
People care about a lot of stupid shit, Eddie. Whether or not Kyler Murray will play 1 or 2 years.
I think it's a media-driven bullshit subject, to be honest.
You need to go start a rally down at the Switzer Center then.
Why would I rally?
Because you can get your jorts on and your ESPN signs and your Paul Feinbaum signs.
Loser Ohio State fan.
Well, that's what you sounded like you want to be, railing against the media.
It's just dumb that we're even talking. There's 2 things out there right now that are just completely dumb to even talk about. What Kyler Murray does in 2019 and...
If you say quarterback battle, I'm cutting your mic off.
No, Greg McElroy's comments. Who cares about his opinion?
My God!
Carey's got that one queued up, too.
I have a lot of shit to do today, Eddie. I can't just bleep like 500
Then
bleeps.
leave him in there. We're all grown-ups here.
I don't know how sponsors feel about this shit.
I think they know what they're signing up for.
I don't think you know how this works.
Then tell me.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to further trigger Eddie with this.
Caleb, I think some of you guys noticed the under or the overrated.
These questions, unbelievable.
You tweeted about it. How motivating is that for you guys at this point in the season?
Help me write my clickbait article.
Oklahoma, and every year you see this happening, and so we're getting used to it, but we always love the motivation. Nobody likes Oklahoma, and really Oklahoma doesn't like anybody else, so that's just how it should be. And they're just doing their job, I guess, but we're always going to have our own backs. We've always got to prove ourselves, and so we're real good at doing that, and we'll continue to do that for sure.
If you want to write clickbait articles, just come to an OU post practice and ask OU players questions. That's all you have to do.
Is it me or the only thing that's interesting about the whole conversation? And I'm not as far down the path as Eddie is, because I can kind of understand, like, are we having a conversation about Kyler Murray being the guy for the next couple of years? Is that going to factor into the decision that, okay, we could have Austin Kendall for several years, or we can have Kyler for 1?
Right.
I think that's got some, that has some relationship with reality. But the more interesting part to me is, as it pertains to Austin Kendall, what does that mean that Lincoln really isn't pushing that line?
That he won't give up
gone
on
next
it.
year.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a really interesting conversation. Like, is Lincoln almost hurting his cause by kind of denying something that we all expect to be true?
Yeah, I don't know what Lincoln gets out of it by trying to fight that narrative that he only has 1 year.
Exactly. Because, what are the odds he comes back next year? 5%, maybe?
Less.
Yeah, it's so small. It seems like a weird hill to stand on.
Lincoln is obviously operating.
This will go against the grain. I think there's more than a 5% chance Kyler Murray's back at OU. I think it's less than 10.
How is that going against the grain?
Because everybody just thinks that he's gonna be gone. Like it's not even into story.
Is it because he's so good at football?
Possibly. Like if I could predict the future, probably wouldn't be sitting here.
Well, he said when I asked him about that, he said his destiny is set.
It's meaningless to me, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
So you hate I don't understand you. You hate that people are asking it, yet you are furthering the narrative that he might come back.
He might. I just think it's dumb to be talking about.
My God.
I think it's dumb to be talking about on August 8th.
I think it's dumb to be fighting against something that you actually believe.
That's fine.
We just don't know the language in the contract. There's got to be an out somewhere, right?
Everything's got to have some type of out. Or, give back money, something like that. Or something could be negotiated.
Oh, yeah. Guys, look at, I'm sure, I don't know which of you have watched the Hard Knocks from last night, but when they're actually going over the little stipulations in Baker Mayfield's contract where
about skydiving
and rock climbing and all this other stuff, you've got to think an injury in a football game, which is probably as dangerous, more dangerous than a lot of those, is is part of that contract. There's got to be something written in that gives the A's an out.
So Lincoln doesn't want to. Okay, so here's a theory. Lincoln doesn't want to give up on Kyler Murray coming back for a second year just in case he breaks his leg early in the season. Does that make any sense?
I mean, I guess, but I mean...
That doesn't make any sense to me, but I mean...
That doesn't compute.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it doesn't...
I'm just trying
to... If he said that, like if he said, yeah, Kyler, we're probably going to have him for this year, it doesn't change anything when the injury happens. Well, we couldn't have foreseen that this injury was going to happen. The A's were going to back out of their contract. Like, you still have that fallback, even not just with the public and with the media, you know, because we all know lying to the media, as Urban Meyer is learning, is a dangerous slope. But you get to say that to Austin Kendall and his family. Like, we thought you were the guy. Now Kyler's going to come back, and we'll see what happens.
By the way, I do not buy that whole thing for a second, the Urban Meyer, it's just commonplace for me to lie to the media. You could say that, but he also tried to discredit the writer from the get-go. Like, that's not garden variety lying. He tried to discredit a man before it really turned into something really big.
It's unfortunate that it had to come out this way, but Urban Meyer's a slime ball, and we've known that for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not breaking news.
Go back to Florida, yeah.
Yeah, you're even getting Florida writers going back thinking what they saw.
What did he lie to us?
Yeah,
about?
like maybe we were blinded because of all the wins.
Well, from the stories that you have told us from the 2008 Orange Bowl, I'm sure that they were lied to, and there's some feelings hurt down there.
I was thinking the same thing, Eddie, because I remember Carey talking about just how it was almost like a state of worship whenever Urban Meyer spoke amongst the Florida media.
Yeah, they were very much offended by anything that OU said that wasn't. It's just like the Tim Tebow thing about him being the 5th best passer in the Big 12. They'd lost their minds.
I'm very here for the Urban Meyer downfall.
Did we determine if those were crisis actors or not?
Ezekiel Elliott's father?
He probably he had to pay a lot of fines last year. Might have need some help with the mortgage.
That Tennessee Jeff guy. There's college football fans everywhere. I'm sure OU fans have. There's OU fans out there. I remember the guys that came and stood in front of the facility with the Joe Mixon sign or whatever. There's crazy fans everywhere.
The ashes.
Yeah, there's crazy fans everywhere. But that guy.
Well, that's my message. Just like everyone, every OU fan that looks at those fans at Ohio State and is ashamed, just realize that's not unique to Ohio State. Don't let yourself be that fan to support something about OU someday. Which, as you mentioned, the guy and his son, I was ugly. That was unfortunate. To go that far to support a guy that really was lucky to be there.
And doesn't care about you.
I don't know. I mean,
could care less about you.
In the long run. I think in the short term he cared because it helped.
Sure.
And he might still care because he's not fully rehabilitated yet.
Losers.
Okay. I didn't want to get too sidetracked on the Urban stuff. I think, what should be talked about is what's going on the field with the quarterbacks, with Kyler Murray and Austin Kendall. And I did ask Lincoln, this was on yesterday, kind of tell us what you've seen from the quarterback so far. Because I knew, he's not going to sit there and tell us, well, Kyler's thrown 3 more interceptions than Austin Kendall and completion percentage is this. So here's kind of, Lincoln says something really interesting here in the second part about their personnel I want you to listen to.
Lincoln, what has stood out to you about your quarterback specifically?
They both played pretty well. They've, we've made a lot of big plays, a lot of great throws. Their command of what we're doing has definitely improved. The competition has absolutely made both those guys better. They kind of like the safeties. They feel the heat a little bit right now, which is good. And so, And I think they've done a good job. We've tried to emphasize, like we did last year with our guys, of really understanding we've got some new weapons at these places, and they've got to get on the same page with them, understand what these guys do well, how they do things. So yeah, they're improving quickly. It's been fun to watch. A lot of good plays. We still had a few too many negative plays, and a lot of times being a good quarterback is cutting those down, and we're going to have to do that.
So, Lincoln talked about the offense building around certain players. And I was thinking, we all have kind of fitted in this box where OU has to have an H-back emerge. Either it has to be Carson Meyer or it has to be Jeremiah Hall. What if neither one really shows them that they're different? I know they hired Shane Beamer, so we think, he's got to have an H-back. That's what he's here for. But what if Lincoln figures out that his best offense is having CeeDee Lamb, Marquise Brown, Michael Jones, and Grant Calcaterra all on the field at the same time?
I think. Well,
or having Rodney
two running backs. Yeah, having Trey and Rodney.
That's
on
more
the
the side that I feel like they go is because go
back to the Samaje Perine, Joe Mixon two-back set.
It worked really, really well, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think that they could definitely go to that side of things just because if they get the offensive line play that they think they're going to get, I think
they need a lead blocker.
Giving the ball to Trey Sermon and Rodney Anderson will benefit that team.
Not
very
to mention
well.
having Marquise Brown available for the jet sweep stuff and misdirection, or Michael Jones,
use Marcelias Sutton a little bit. I mean, they have more talent in the running back pool. I don't know how they're going to give carries to people. I mean, Kennedy Brooks, you could say he looked decent during the spring, couldn't you? TJ Pledger. I mean, they have so many guys back there.
Kyler Murray.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, talk about an open field threat. Kyler Murray's dangerous with his feet. And
I guess that kind of gets you into the discussion of how much different is this offense going to look as far as, are they going to run a whole bunch of option, we think?
Well, according to Lincoln, they're figuring it out now.
Yeah. A lot of underneath stuff to Marquise Brown and then stretch the field with CeeDee Lamb. I
mean, it's so bizarre going out there and when we had our media viewing portion, Bob was focusing on defensive guys, and I was over there looking at offensive guys. And CeeDee Lamb is very impressive. I mean, he's put on good weight. But the one guy that I was like, and I said this, I think, even on the photo gallery, like the one guy you look at and you just think, God, you just don't see guys like this very often. It's Grant Calcaterra.
Yeah.
Like, we're so used to Mark Andrews being, a big, ridiculously sized human being that can catch the ball and run down the field. Grant Calcaterra is more like he's a lot more graceful, I guess is the best way to put it, of an athlete.
He's kind of sneaky big, too. Just
as
far as
everything's long.
Like, how tall would you think Grant Calcaterra is? Do you know how tall he is off the top of your head?
He's tall. I mean, he's like
he's listed at 6'4".
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
6'4".
I mean, if I just looked at Grant Calcaterra, I would think 6'2", just from watching him on TV. Handsome. It's the great hair. But it is crazy, just like how different he is.
He can be something that Mark Andrews never was. I'm not saying Mark Andrews, I think, is Jason Witten. Okay. Whereas Grant Calcaterra, I think, is more Jimmy Graham.
Mark Andrews is more true tight end.
Just a big possession receiver type guy.
Yeah, and then Calcaterra is more of a...
He can get you down the field, make great catches in one-on-one situations.
Would it be crazy if Grant Calcaterra, not led the team in receptions, but he could lead your team in receptions in a game and you'd be okay, I think.
Sure, yeah.
Right.
Now, can he do that with Kyler Murray at quarterback? Doing it from a split position or a true tight end position? I don't know.
Okay, hang on. So I want to make sure I grasp all this. You feel like Andrews is more of the possession tight end and Calcaterra is more of the dynamic downfield guy?
I'm saying in the NFL. I don't see Mark Andrews as being a down the field, running with corner, tight end. I think he's going to develop into more of a Jason Witten type player.
Yeah. I think he's a little more athletic than Calcaterra is, but he's never been. Every time I watch Calcaterra, the word it's just smooth. It all looks really easy. Like he's never out of control. Where Andrews, you were like, it was almost like he was going too fast for himself or something sometimes.
So I guess that leads to.
And I'm dissing a John Mackey Award winner, so sorry about that, Mark.
What are they going to do with the trio of Braden Willis, Jeremiah Hall, and Carson Meyer? I mean, do those guys have a place in the offense, you think?
In certain packages, but I don't know if you'll see them ever down.
Well, they're not going to have Marquise Brown and CeeDee Lamb forever.
Meyer should. Meyer's a really good blocking tight end.
Right. Exactly.
So he's going to be more of the goal line.
Yep.
When they would throw, what's his name out there?
Based on some stuff I've heard, it feels like if they were going to run an H-back out there tomorrow, it might be Meyer instead of Hall. I think that's...
No, I think that's right.
I think that's a little bit of a Hall hasn't quite gotten to where maybe they hoped he would, but at the same time, I think Meyer is probably better than most people realize.
By that.
When we talk with Meyer, he's just excited about getting the chance to catch. He's been the blocking guy for so long. He's very pumped to show people that he can catch too.
I think Beamer knows that Hall has a higher ceiling, plus he's younger. He's going to have him for longer. But I think that excites him. But, yeah, I mean, the more you hear, it sounds like Meyer's the guy that's most ready.
So where is Willis working? You guys were out there. Is he working tight ends? Is he working H-back? Does it overlap?
He's running on the sidelines.
He wasn't working the day we were there.
I love that guy.
He was limited with Rodney, Michael, and Sam.
He had some. It wasn't a major. It was he was dinged up. I mean, he was stretching and
it was
running.
The second day of practice, so it's not like it was.
Eddie, you always get so wound up about what's going on the second day of practice. It keeps you up at night worrying if a guy is on the bike on the sideline.
Well, stunt his development.
Eddie says he needs those snaps.
One thing we did notice when we went out there is that the secondary is very loud. Probably the loudest group of players, almost overly loud.
I think that they were putting on a show because the cameras were there.
Because the cameras. There was a lot of mugging going on. Bob got a really good shot of Trey Brown.
You know what, though? I'd rather have him doing that than just standing there.
Too. It's that's why I love Justin Broiles. I love that he does that.
If you're gonna go out with a bang. Don't just get run over like they have the last couple years.
It's carried over.
I see what you're saying.
In the Trey,
the mugging. You're talking about being loud and obnoxious.
If you're gonna go out guns blazing.
Well, Parnell Motley's always been talkative.
Right.
Well, they have.
That's right. It's carried over to Trey Norwood now because he wasn't that guy last year, and he was on Monday.
Yeah. But
Justin
Justin
Broiles, a little bit more confident when you
start
games as a freshman. I'm sure you get a little bit more confident. I mean, we can talk about the safety position, and I know what I said a couple weeks ago on the podcast, but they're going to be better than they were last year. I think that there's a little bit of this too that they were just really unlucky at points last year. Like they were in good position on a ball, and Jordan Thomas just didn't make a play on the ball.
But let's face it, after they replaced Jordan Thomas, they were better.
They were better. And I think Trey Norwood's going to be really good. I think Trey Brown has the chance to be pretty good. Obviously, Parnell Motley's good. Buki. I mean, they certainly have a presence about him. And I think the next step is actually going out on the field and doing it, right?
Well, you mentioned about turning the head, being unlucky. You kind of saw it once again in the Drake Stoops one-handed catch. Justin Broiles is right there.
You got to start him.
God,
you got to let his blood.
How much can one clip from a practice be overhyped?
Oh my God!
I'm just saying, he's in the right position, right?
This kind of makes sense. Eddie hates
a play
books.
for the ball.
Eddie hates books because you have to read one page at a time. He hates information that is just one little thing at a time because it adds up to something bigger.
Well, if we're sitting here in 5 years and just for instance, Drake Stoops doesn't play, there will still be people out there that go back to that one clip and, well, I just don't understand why he never put it together.
How long I shit on Dom Whaley? I mean, every spring I would shit on Dom Whaley. Like, he's a walk-on. If Don Whaley starts, it's because OU has no other running back. And I felt horrible when he got his leg snapped in two against Kansas State because he totally proved me wrong. He was a good running back. He never recovered from that. You're reminding me of younger me, and you're scaring me. You're shitting on everything.
Guys, as much as we love Marquise Brown and CeeDee Lamb, obviously two of the best receivers in the country.
I'm like Greg Williams. I need a lozenge.
Is there anybody at safety or anybody at slot that gets people excited? Michael Jones, as much as I loved him out of high school, he hadn't done anything.
That's why, I mean...
He had a big touchdown in the Big 12 championship game.
His first. His first.
He'd been the starter for what? The entire season? And really, and he had the big catch against Ohio State when Baker made that unbelievable throw. And really, that's the two things I can think of. And I'm not saying he couldn't be a good player. He could. But if you told me that, like, mid-season Drake Stoops took his job, it wouldn't shock me for a minute. I've been high on that kid for a long time. And I know I'm not the only one. But he's a lot better, I think, than people realize.
Why'd you boys have him as a 3-star then, Josh, if you liked him so much?
Well, because I hated him personally. He's just a bad human being. No, it is. I mean, like, there are...
He fits that perfect. He fits that, Josh. He fits that perfect 6A role, which is he's a guy that makes plays on every team in the state, even the very best teams. I mean, when they played Union, they had to put Trey Brown on him specifically just to shut him down and hound him every moment of every play.
And he still had a pretty good night.
Yeah.
In a really micro scale, it's kind of an example of just how well OU's recruiting right now that they even got him to walk on. And of course, it's a different scenario.
Well,
just
I think
because
their
of
school's
his dad
free anyway, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but I mean, there weren't teams just lining up. I think he's a perfect example, though, of guys in state that OU needs to get their fair share of, and they've certainly done it the last couple of years. When you look at, I guess Kobe Tillman would be an example of a guy that I think will end up helping somewhere down the road.
Well, Nik Bonitto.
Yeah.
Is an example. And that's when you got Baldwin and Stoops sort of your quote-unquote possession guys, and you wonder if Crawford, Jalen Robinson might end up being guys that can stretch the field from the slot spot.
Okay, I wanted to switch to defense and kind of get your impressions of some of the things you saw. But first off, we kind of alluded to it about the safety position being a concern, and you don't often hear a head coach when Bob Stoops was a head coach. I don't know how Lincoln's going to be in this, but like Bob would not go out of his way to talk about kids on offense unless they were really, really playing well. Well, Lincoln did kind of the reverse. He talked about the secondary yesterday about as glowingly as he's talked about anything all fall camp.
Fun to watch, honestly. Fun to watch. It's those guys are really going at it. I've been really proud of Justin Broiles. I think has really stepped up and done a nice job. See him flying around, making a lot of plays. He does a great job just bringing energy to the field, though, all the time. Kind of like Joe Mixon did before, or some of the others like that. That just Orlando Brown has done the last few years, are just kind of an infectious energy that really impacts the whole field. Buki's doing a nice job. Jordan Parker, you could see the first few days was rusty, which is to be expected. He hadn't been on the field in a while, and on top of it, a new position. But I thought the last couple of days has really settled in, and excited about where he can go. Delaren Turner-Yell looks like that he's absolutely got a chance. Robert Barnes has done some good things. Khalil Houghton, I think, is stepping up and playing some of the best ball that he's played. So you can feel the competition. They all feel it, and it's making them better. There's a definite sense of urgency with that group.
And then I asked Mike Stoops kind of about Justin Broiles, and because I want to get back to Bob about Jordan Parker, but Mike Stoops about Justin Broiles kind of being the chatty guy.
Being out here yesterday, couldn't help but hear kind of how vocal your secondary was, and Lincoln had a lot of praise for Broiles and how he's playing. What does a guy like that kind of bring to your defense?
Well, I love his energy and his attitude towards playing football. I mean, he gets it. He brings it every day, and that's fun. It's fun having guys out here that talk, and then to understand how we're communicating. I think that's obviously very important. Communication in a defense, all the changes, switches, switching defenses, understanding formations, understanding splits. You got to communicate every snap, and we're doing a better job of that.
Now, the one thing you hear consistently about Justin Broiles is he's making plays. I mean, I don't know you guys that you talk to, but I mean, to me, a safety is making plays. That's not something you've heard a lot of in camps for Oklahoma.
You know, when I talked with Kerry Cooks, what he said between Broiles and Barnes, they keep one-upping each other. Sometimes not even just day-to-day, but within that same day. One drill, Broiles looks great. The next drill, Barnes is fired up, and then he plays better. So he loves what they're bringing to the table.
And Jordan Parker, I mean, you heard Lincoln talk about that earlier. It's kind of a slow start, had some time off, but they really think that he can be a factor there. I know you're working on a Jordan Parker article, but kind of what was it that you gleaned from guys talking about Jordan Parker and Jordan himself?
Just that he's going to fit really well back there because he can tackle. Something Kerry Cooks mentioned, even as a freshman, he was the best tackler in the secondary 2 years ago. And when you're at the safety spot, you need people that can tackle. So Kerry's very confident that Jordan's going to work out just fine. Mike mentioned that Parker probably around 85% right now, so he'll be 100 by the time the season comes, or when it's time for the season. But he's not quite there yet, even though we're a week into camp.
Okay, let's talk about just things that you guys saw on the defensive side. Getting to see some of the new guys. I mean, some of your picks that are up on the site now, Bob. Got to see Brian Asamoah. Caleb Kelly raved about Deshaun White when I talked to him. Josh, whatever you're doing, stop it. It sounds like you're, I don't know.
He's clicking.
Damn it, the mic was supposed to be muted. I thought I was muted. Son of a... We're working on a story. Sorry, everybody.
Goddamn amateur hour around here.
It really was.
No
My
way.
bad.
We're losing our sponsor after the show. No, but I thought the one thing that Mike told me that was interesting is it was kind of like just me and him talking, and I said, Mike, what are you doing for edge rushers? And he mentioned that they're not going to have an oboe this year. That they're going to have to do things a little bit differently. And I said, well, and he talked about losing Jalen Redmond is something that still bothers him. But he said that from what he's seen from Nik Bonitto, he thinks he has a chance, which I thought was really interesting.
Makes sense. That was Mike's guy. He wanted him in a huge way going to Florida to try to make it happen. So he's fired up. When you look at Nick, seems like he fits in physically.
It wasn't just Mike, because Caleb Kelly brought him up too to me.
I'll throw some video of Bonitto that I got on practice. I don't think I have yet. I'll throw it on.
Yeah, because we didn't have any
afternoon.
pics of him.
Physically, he looks okay. I think Ryan Jones looks amazing.
No, there's your X factor. I mean, really.
I think Ryan Jones could end up being the type of guy that not necessarily everybody looks back on and wonders how he ended up at OU, but I mean, for me personally, he's definitely a guy that's like, I think he could end up being really good. I haven't seen him play yet, but I think he could end up being really good.
And the guy
we have room on the bus in the Ryan Jones fan club.
Is there still some stock?
Yeah, he made the Fearless 20.
Seats.
He made the Fearless 20 already.
He is in the Fearless 20.
Which probably means he's going to get hurt and miss the entire season.
Yeah, it's been kind of a curse for some guys. So it's mainly wide receivers, handle the heat. Really. Adrian Tennell, that is still not forgiving me.
We all fell for that one. I think even Sam Bradford fell for that one.
I think everybody fell for that one.
By the way, is it just me? Am I the only one that just habitually forgets about Ronnie Perkins?
No. If you wear a single digit and you're a defensive tackle, you don't ever get forgotten in my book.
But I think he's got a really good chance to make an impact on this team.
No,
I forget to even bring him up to coaches.
Well, we didn't have any defensive linemen at all.
We asked for Ruffin yesterday.
Yeah, we really haven't talked about the defensive line really that much. I mean, we'll ask about him.
We talked to Calvin at the golf thing.
Yeah, that's a couple weeks ago.
But I keep even talking to Mike. I keep forgetting to ask about Ronnie Perkins, and I know they like him a lot.
Well, that almost begs the question. You guys talked about who you had a chance to talk to. Does it almost speak to that if there's any group on the defense that you're like, okay, they might be okay, it's the defensive line?
It's more, I don't know who to go to talk to if Neville Gallimore's out with a boot.
Because Imani Bledsoe's not the best talker.
They need that group to be real. I think they feel like, as a whole, the defense is going to be decent. I know that we fall into this trap every year, and I myself included,
That they're going to suck.
No, that they're going to be they'll be not better. Bad.
Yeah. I'm actually generally the one in trouble by the coaches because I say they're not going to be any good. I think that was Bob after they beat Alabama.
Like this is the.
But they had Gino Grissom and Eric Stryker, and who else was on that line? Charles Tapper.
This is the discussion that is on the board.
Guys.
Like, to be better defensively, don't you think they just need to be better in like 10 to 15 plays? Is that the biggest difference between being a piss poor defense and a
but how do you equate that? Is that do you need
getting
two
off
more,
the field on third
two
down?
more 5-stars to be better on 15 plays in a game?
I guess that's the big question.
I mean, do you need
the question I'm asking.
At least one All-American defensive tackle to be that much better?
I mean, think you need a couple All Big 12 guys.
There's a formula there that's like, it's like
I think
Allen
you need a couple All Big 12 guys.
Well, and what if your guys are, we talked earlier about whether Oklahoma might run the ball a little bit more. Well, does that take 7 or 8 snaps away from that defense, whether you're just limiting the ability for those things to go wrong?
I think it could.
I mean, like I said, that doesn't mean it won't, but it's fewer plays where something can, could happen, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think it could.
Let's face it. There hasn't been dominant players at more than 2 positions on Oklahoma's defense in a long time.
Yeah.
And especially on the defensive line. I mean, maybe they've had they haven't had Jordan Evans at times was dominant linebacker, at times he sucked.
Yeah.
Texas Tech, he sucked.
Okay, well then how many players at legitimate position-wise have a chance to be all Big 12 by the end of the season? And they start the season with none on the preseason team.
I will die on my sword that Kenneth Murray is going to have a great season.
Like I
don't see how it's not possible.
As long as they don't have
any
any injuries, I think Caleb Kelly and Kenneth Murray is a great combo.
Yep.
I don't know about
on
Caleb
paper
Kelly
they could
yet.
be.
I mean, I think Motley could be that guy.
You think he's better than Emmanuel Beal, right?
Yes.
Are we going back to a board argument right now?
That's what I'm saying.
All I said was, look, when you watched Emmanuel Beal over the last 2 years, he made a lot of plays, and people shit all over it.
Right. No, I agree with you.
He was a very and you know what? I think last year, leaving him at the starting wheel was the best decision for that defense. You had Will Johnson. Yeah, I mean, what they did to Caleb Kelly last year, it was bad. I mean, it was a bad plan. To take him off the field is bad. And maybe if they'd gone through the growing pains last year, they'd be in a great position right now with Caleb Kelly.
Yeah.
So you could argue they still made a mistake by playing Emmanuel Beal there instead of Caleb Kelly. I don't know. Here's Mike Stoops talking about Caleb Kelly and his development.
I think it's been good for him. I think it's the right position. I think long-term success, we're always looking at our players being a factor in certain positions, and I think it's been a very positive move for Caleb. I think that brings up Ryan Jones and Nik Bonitto, 2 guys that are very athletic coming off the edge. So continually trying to put as much speed, athleticism in position to make plays and cover field space. Caleb gives you a lot of length in the middle of the field, and that's that'll come in affect quarterbacks throwing lanes and things like that. So I've been pleased with his overall progress there, especially being out all spring. It seems like he's put a lot of obvious film study in throughout the course of the summer, and has worked hard, has moved well. So been really impressed with all those linebackers.
I'll throw this out to you, Josh and Bob, because I think it's a dead-on statement. But there's a lot to be said that OU has a reputation on the line when it comes to Caleb Kelly. If they pull in a 5-star and he doesn't become a guy that NFL teams really want after this season, it's going to hurt OU's defensive reputation.
It'll hurt the defensive rep, and then it's going to hurt the Fresno thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that he was the last hope. Hatari Bird, Moore, Micaiah Quick, none of them panned out, but Kelly was the surefire bet that this was going to be exactly what everyone wanted. So I think there's a second side to that. But, yeah, if you bring a 5-star and you see his potential and you can't find a way to put him in the right spot to make him that guy, that is going to be something that's going to be used against the Sooners for at least the next couple of years.
I think Bob hit the nail on the head. It's not so much that I think kids would be aware of it outside. I think the only kids who would be aware of it are in the Fresno area. I think they would be mindful of it because the recent offer to the McMillan kid in Fresno, he talked about Caleb Kelly being a guy he really looks up to. So he's going to be aware that this guy was, could have gone anywhere in the country and ends up really just not doing much at Oklahoma. I mean, having a decent career, but certainly not living up to what everyone expected. And then nationally, you're talking about every school in the country when OU tries to walk in the door with an elite, not just linebacker, just elite defender. Yeah, look what happened last time they got a 5-star. That guy didn't do anything. And you can run down the list. That's Oklahoma's biggest problem recruiting defensively right now is they have no, or at least very few NFL skins on the wall. That's what these kids care about. They want a shot in the NFL. And, what would you say right now? Stacey McGee's their second best defensive NFL player who did, frankly, nothing at Oklahoma of real note?
Oh, I'd probably put, just based on contract-wise, I'd say Tony Jefferson then Aaron Colvin.
Sure, you're right. Yeah. You're right. I got a little fix. I think I got
Tony but the problem is Tony Jefferson wasn't drafted.
That's true.
Yeah.
That looks bad when your best defensive guy wasn't drafted.
Yeah.
Apparently by the staff.
Absolutely. There's a lot of pressure on Caleb Kelly, and he's talked about it a little bit. We played that audio from local media day about him talking about how he knows that, basically, this is paraphrasing,
that he was a 5-star.
He was a 5-star, and he hasn't been as good as everybody thought he was.
This all comes down to
how much pressure does that put on Buki? Because I feel like the expectations for Buki
I don't think he feels the weight of expectations. I just don't.
He might not, but I feel like people's expectations, I feel like fans think he's going to get 3 picks a game. And when he doesn't, it's going to be, this 5-star.
Another bust.
Yeah, I feel like the expectation, and I've played a part of that. I mean, you put anything out on the internet about Buki, it's going to get retweeted hundreds of times.
Nobody has taken any care to mute themselves, whether it's coaches, players, whatever. Nobody has toned it down when it comes to praise for Buki.
That continued is now that we're in the camp.
Everyone believes he's going to be a star. No one has pulled back the reins on the praise for Buki.
I can't remember a time that a defensive player, and I definitely wasn't around when Tommy Harris came in. I'm still in high school, I guess, but people are acting like he is leaps and bounds better than every person on the team.
The great ones usually are.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
There was no doubt.
I can't remember
There was no doubt Adrian Peterson was replacing Kejuan Jones.
Yeah.
No doubt.
It's wild to me that I guess there's pressure on him as well as Caleb Kelly, though, is what I was getting at.
Well,
you need some 5-stars on defense to start producing.
It's a little different when you're a 5-star and you've only had a moderate amount of success, and you're going in your 3rd year.
Because if Buki blows up this year, I think that's worth at least, I don't know, Josh, Bob, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's worth at least 2 more 5-stars in the next 2 classes, maybe less or more than that. If Buki does really well, they're going to start recruiting at an even higher level, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I think that's fair. I don't know that they'll hit that number, but I think you'd suddenly see Oklahoma involved with some guys that maybe you wouldn't have expected.
They would have never had a chance.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
As a perfect example is Ohio State. Their defense, they have great players on their defense, but you don't think of their defense like you do Alabama's. They're not. They produce a lot of guys in the NFL.
Yeah.
They get a lot of great recruits, but I wouldn't say they're maximizing their talent potential like Alabama does. Yet, kids will look at Oklahoma and look at Ohio State and say, well, I should be there because they're putting more kids in the NFL. I don't know that Ohio State's defense, especially the one we saw last year, they probably would have got shredded in the Big 12.
Got shredded against Hawkeyes.
Yeah. Which is not a Big 12 offense. by any stretch.
Iowa.
Girl's still missing.
I know. Did you see what her dad said?
Yeah, that there's probably somebody she knew.
Something doesn't add up here. Something's out there.
But they found a body, and they thought it might be hers, and they told the parents and everything.
It's probably one of the 48. It's missing.
I'm only doing this because I know it infuriates Josh's wife.
I think I'll let Tiffany listen to this and watch her boil today. No, we were talking about it because I was like, "Did you hear about this thing?" And Tiffany's she's on BuzzFeed. You know, she reads a lot of different kind of aggregate stuff, and I was shocked she hadn't brought it up to me before because obviously we have 2 little girls, and it's kind of right in our wheelhouse. And she was like, "Really?" And so she starts looking it up, and so then she just starts kind of fact checking, and it was. For those out there that aren't aware, like, the numbers are a little misconstrued. Like, it's not quite as the epidemic as maybe it was presented as last week. And that was a terrible time to laugh. Obviously, really sad these girls are missing, and that's terrible. But I just mean, like, she was reading that the reports are, like, if one kid runs away 5 times, that's reported as 5 missing children. Well, it's only one kid, and he might have run around the corner. Like, it doesn't get updated when they are found. Like, I mean, so there's a lot of stuff that the numbers kind of lie to you just a little bit.
The thoughts on this podcast are not represented by the McQuestion family. That is maybe hearsay, and that might just be rumors, is what he's saying.
Can we talk about the fact that Eddie has worked with me for nearly a decade and can still not say my last name?
Yeah, I noticed that too just now.
What did I say?
McQuestion.
McQuestion.
Should we have a word? Should I give you like a word of the day just to see how it goes?
Well, hey, we need our Urban Dictionary word of the day. We got to get on that.
I only know really bad ones.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm still not over the Pringles stack.
Pringle stack.
Just look up a state and a name of a food. Like, look up Nevada pizza roll or something.
Alabama Hot Pocket's too good.
No, you can't read that one. That's disgusting.
That's true. Well,
don't look that up, people.
I'm not.
No, I'm telling the people listening.
The people don't do that.
Don't do it. Don't.
Trust me, look it up though.
Chicago Sun.
How do
that's
we
a lot more fun.
Yeah, that's a pretty funny one too. Well, all right. I guess we got off of our defensive tangent.
We went a really long time before we got off on any tangents.
That's pretty good.
Okay. This one is too topical for Eddie and Carey. I just went into Urban Dictionary and looked under their top-rated ones. Looking for Boston Market is the term.
No way. That's a Urban Dictionary thing?
Exactly. So I was like,
I'm a huge Boston Market fan.
A euphemism for masturbating in public. First coined by New York Jets tight end Kellen Winslow.
Oh my
God.
Kellen Winslow!
Oh, because he said he told the cops he was.
Yeah, that was pretty good. He was.
Damn you, Kellen Winslow.
He was a soldier. Didn't he just get arrested for like multiple felony rape charges?
Yeah, it is really bad.
Elderly women, too.
Really bad. By the way, there is a new Boston Market on I-35. I believe it's before you get to the In-N-Out in Denton. You take that Crumb exit, what is it, like 492 or something?
I don't know if I'd ever... Is it in a gas station?
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know. I don't trust
It's a travel
that.
center.
I don't even trust the McDonald's in a travel center.
Just shut up. It's fine. I
Just
got some to go last time. It was great.
Go one exit down and just go to In-N-Out.
I got extra cornbread. It was fine.
I don't trust it.
Good. You can't go there with me.
That's fine.
Me and Eddie will go in and out in Denton. We're good.
That one sucks.
It's just like all the other ones.
It's not any good.
Wildly overrated.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh.
But Josh is saying In-N-Out as a whole.
No, he means that one.
No,
he doesn't.
I want to destroy that In-N-Out for you now that you've shit on my Boston Market.
Okay. You tell me which one you would eat at. An In-N-Out. Just a regular In-N-Out.
I love In-N-Out, but there's no reason for you to shit on the Boston Market that is like within 2 hours of driving distance.
In a gas station.
You're just shitting on it just to piss me off.
I may never eat Boston Market's ruined. It's ruined for me.
It's fine. We'll never go again.
That's fine. It's
I'll
ruined
never
for me
take
now.
you again.
Oh, for the people out there that just don't realize, this is like the end of an era. The Eddie and Carey Boston Market thing is a special relationship.
Started in Arizona.
It's pretty good.
It was over there by Barrett Jackson. It was now that was kind of a shitty Boston market. It wasn't that good. But that's when they first introduced the loaded potatoes.
I haven't been out to Phoenix, I guess, in the last couple of years.
I know, that kind of sucks not going out there.
Does Fiesta Bowl have a playoff this year? I don't think they do.
They're the Cactus Bowl now. They had the trophy.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's playing for it.
By the way, who watched Hard Knocks last night?
Very good. I'll tell you what,
would you say very good, or it was a good episode because it's Hard Knocks, but I don't think you can say it was one of the better Hard Knocks opens. It wasn't Vince Wilfork coming in with the overalls.
It was a good. I mean, I liked it just because Baker was on it, probably. But
Jarvis Landry was fantastic.
Jarvis Landry's awesome. He seems like a guy that you would want on your team. I will say though, and I said it this morning.
By the way, I just have to. The best tweet I saw last night was when did Cleveland hire a walrus to be its offensive line coach?
Dude, when they showed like the little video clip of him talking to the assistants,
was that Gabe Eichert's offensive line coach last year?
I don't know. We need to talk to Gabe about him. I bet he is a ultimate football guy. But I was like, why is he talking to these janitors? Like, who are these guys?
Why is the janitor coaching the offensive
line?
Like
why is this guy like sitting in there? Usually I'll watch Hard Knocks, though, and halfway through the show, I kind of talk myself into like, okay, these guys could end up being pretty good.
By the way, Bob has to get out of here, so he's got to go do franchise this afternoon.
Bob.
So we'll just do it that way because Bob will let him skip. But no, go ahead, janitor thoughts.
But halfway through the show, I'm usually like, they could end up being pretty good. Like this team could get it together, and I buy in.
Good at quarterback, like Tyrod Taylor.
But then
is
I watch
pretty decent.
Cleveland is going to. They could be awful. Like just watching
their offensive
practice,
line's probably going to be terrible.
They could be terrible.
It's probably going to look like Sam's first few years in L.A. or in St. Louis.
Good thing Baker and Tyrod can move a little bit better than Sam can because.
Yeah, I mean they'll end up ruining Tyrod Taylor's career just so Baker doesn't get killed.
I like Hugh Jackson though. I think he's a good guy. But I think that's the problem. He might have a little John Blake in him, just as far as he's more of a buddy than a coach.
He's got a room full of crazy people as his coaches. Todd Haley and Greg Williams.
They're going to kill each other.
Are two of the craziest MFers in the league.
Yeah, they're insane.
He basically had to tell them, "I'm the coach. You guys don't have a say in anything, so shut up."
I just love that he wanted Baker to He wanted Baker to come to morning workouts and like what Eddie was talking about, kind of like buddy about it. Like, well, what are you doing for morning workouts? Tell his ass to be there. Like, if that's what you want him to do. This isn't like this isn't a democracy.
I don't know. You have to relate to kids.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a reason.
Not just kids.
I found myself.
You know how many knuckleheads are in that organization?
I found myself saying a lot last night. So that's why they're 1-31 in the last 2 years.
Yeah. Well, Jarvis Landry found that out pretty fast.
Jarvis Landry was sick of their shit the first day that he was there.
But no, I thought the football part of it was the best part. When
it was
Tyrod
good.
Taylor and Baker were going back and forth.
Oh, you could put a Little League team out there, and if they did the same production that Hard Knocks puts out, I'd watch every one of them.
My question is, how does Baker Mayfield ever complete a pass after watching that wide receiving core?
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
I mean, they released Corey Coleman last night, I guess.
Yeah. No, they traded him for pretty much a sack of balls.
The Bills, yeah.
I think for like a 7th round pick. I like the 4th-string quarterback too. Brogan.
Yeah.
Brogan is not going to be in Cleveland very long.
No. He'll be there long enough to take care of the RV.
Yeah. It's pretty good though.
Yeah, go sign.
Not
if
bad.
You're not, first off, go get your 99, gear.
Willie McGinnis is also a monster because Myles Garrett is huge.
Yeah, he is.
And he made Myles Garrett look kind of small.
This was my comment after they showed Myles Garrett walking around without a shirt on. I said, when I saw that, I was sitting in my living room, fully clothed. After I saw Myles Garrett without a shirt on, I put another shirt on because I felt so inadequate.
Yeah, they got some dudes. Am I a bad NFL football fan? I've never heard of the linebacker. Christian, was it Wilkins or something like that? The guy the drummer, middle linebacker.
Oh, yeah.
I'd never heard of that guy. Played at Iowa.
Maybe he played against OU in the Insight Bowl.
I don't know. I think this is like his third year.
I did like the financial planner defensive end.
Yeah, he's a good football player too. Penn State.
Yeah. All right.
I had a really bad joke about Penn State and saving money that we'll save for another time.
Josh, you've gone quiet, honestly. Is there anything you wanted to hit on recruiting before we get out of here?
No, I'm still here. Just one of those things where I saw like half a Hard Knocks. So some of what you guys are covering, I didn't get to in my viewing yet.
Sorry, we didn't throw out spoiler alert.
Josh, here we'll throw it to you for this then. Stacey Wilkins, you were at his announcement last Friday. How was your visit to Camden?
Camden, Arkansas is a special place. I think it's not a place I'll soon forget. Let's put it that way. It was at the Camden Country Club, and the funny part about it is I was on my way out there. I had to leave kind of early that morning to make the drive up, and I didn't know it was going to be at a country club. I just assumed it was going to be at the high school. So I get about halfway there, and Stacey texts me and lets me know where to go and that kind of thing. And I remember thinking, I was like, oh, this could be bad, because I'm thinking country club. I'm on my way up, and I'm in a 3-button and some shorts, and I don't have my flip-flops on, so I had that going for me. But they were just slip-on shoes. It was nothing. I didn't look like a guy that could walk into every country club in the country. And so I walk, and I finally pull up, and I'm like, oh no, this is gonna be fine. This is no problem. So no diss to the Camden Country Club, but from what I can tell, Camden is a town that about 20 years ago was pretty affluent. Maybe some things shut down in the area and has kind of gone down a little bit in the time since then. So, but at the same time, it was a really nice ceremony. I mean, there were a bunch of people there. His family was all there. His sister, who bears a striking physical resemblance to Ashley Paris, was kind of crazy. But like I said, just kind of going through it. The thing that I like the most about the whole deal, though, Stacey Wilkins' actual announcement was about 37 seconds long. Like, they were about 20 minutes late getting it started. They kind of all moved around. It took a little while to get going. But when he finally took the mic to his face and started talking, it was really like, thanks to everybody here, I'm going to Oklahoma. Like, there was no preamble. There was no hat show. It was just straightforward.
Those kids usually do well at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I like that.
His coach, coincidentally, we mentioned Jason Kersey earlier, is a Noble High School graduate and knew Kersey a little bit.
No kidding.
Yep. He was telling me he has caught quite a bit of hell on the local radio stations because of the belief that Stacey was going to pick Oklahoma at the time. So apparently there was a lot of belief that he was steering him towards Oklahoma. I did not get that impression.
Arkansas fans, conspiracy? I don't think so. Is there a fan base that has lost touch with reality more than Arkansas? Maybe Texas A&M.
They're very similar. They're like a smaller version. They're like a.
And the fun part is Arkansas
like
probably accomplished more in their history.
Arkansas is kind of like the Dollar General to Texas A&M to Walmart.
Yeah.
Oh, people forget all the time. The 60s and 70s,
Dollar Tree
Arkansas
versus
was
Dollar
like
General.
a national power.
No, I mean, Barry Switzer's going to come kill us now.
Bring it.
I'm never getting on your punk ass, son bitch.
We're sorry, Coach.
I mean, I grew up, I understand.
Arkansas has never been
what
good
Arkansas
in my
football
lifetime.
is all about. The whole Lou Holtz beating OU. Quinn Grovey from Duncan went and played there. I loved watching him play at Arkansas. Barry Foster, former Pittsburgh Steeler. They've had some really good players, but they've made some bad decisions. They should be better than they are, but their fans are, they're hard. They make it hard to root for them.
I'm trying to see here real quick.
The way they blew up on Kersey about that Arkansas State thing was pretty funny.
It's an inferiority complex that Arkansas fans have. Arkansas has won 11 games one time in my lifetime, and that was 2011. It was Bobby Petrino.
Say what you will, that man can coach.
Bobby Petrino?
Yep.
Oh,
he's an epic bastard, but he can coach.
If your school doesn't have a problem skating the rules, maybe getting in trouble, I would hire Bobby Petrino.
After Urban Meyer, which one would be your first?
Well, Urban Meyer's been getting away with it longer, so
might be a little more.
I actually think that Urban Meyer probably helped Aaron Hernandez bury a body, so I would probably hire Urban Meyer. I don't know though. Bobby Petrino was banging his secretary, and I kind of respect that.
I don't think it was a secretary. I think she worked like in the athletic department.
Oh, I thought it was a secretary.
And wasn't she the wife of someone else who worked in the athletic department? I believe
that's correct. Or they had been separated or something like that.
Yeah, so he just wasn't zero F's given. He was just going to do it right out in front of everybody.
The Louisville athletic program, at one point, the department must have been really, really fun. Got Rick Pitino, getting everybody hookers. Bobby Petrino banging everything that's in sight.
Just living the dream.
Yeah.
He's one of those ugly people that was a sex addict.
Bobby Petrino?
Yeah.
Well, he probably...
how does that happen? You're ugly.
He's the head football coach.
No,
a bunch of money.
I guess.
I bet he wasn't getting that.
He just learns to prey on interns? Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. He wasn't getting that ass when he was an assistant. GA. You got to be the head coach.
I'd just like to... I don't want to take advantage of that playbook. I just like to see that playbook. I'd like to know how that works.
Mm-hmm. If you win the lottery, I bet it happens.
You just make so many promises to a dumb intern?
I think you just pay them just straight up. Like they hoes.
They're not a whore if they work there?
Technically not, I guess.
They're just a hoe for the university. They're not actually your hoe.
True.
All right, I think our discussion has come to an end on that one.
That's a good one.
Look, there's lots to come still. The safety thing is really going to be interesting. Caleb Kelly's going to be interesting. What happens at the defensive line? Nik Bonitto, Ryan Jones, Ronnie Perkins. I'm going to remember to ask about Ronnie Perkins at some point. But yeah, Neville Gallimore just needs to be healthy and out there. But offensively, it kind of just got to the point where, we don't really know what to ask on offense or talk about on offense. But I think, as we've talked about in the podcast, there's some intriguing storylines. This offense is going to look a certain way, and I think it's going to look different than it did last year under Baker. It's going to operate differently. They're going to have the same elements of the offense, but there's just going to be, it'll be more run heavy, more quarterback run heavy, maybe more pass heavy. It's gonna change. There's gonna be some differences.
Has to. You can't expect Kyler Murray. You can't expect Austin Kendall. You can't expect whoever to duplicate what Baker has done the last 3 years. And I think it'd be stupid to think that they should try to. Does that make sense? I think that, but I do think that in a way, he's really lucky that they have Lincoln Riley running it, because he's going to figure out a way. If there's anything that we can take from the first 4 years he's been in Norman, he has kind of a knack for doing this.
By the way, I think someone said during the podcast today that I totally don't believe. And that is, I don't believe that Marcelias Sutton is going to be the number 3 back.
Agreed completely. That's no way.
I don't see it.
No, probably not. I just threw that out there for a change of pace, guy. Just looking back to the spring game. Do they have better options back there?
His role is going to be so small. It's kind of like what we just talked about when we were talking about, you could start to set up Austin Kendall to go forward. Basically, you've got Sutton as a 1-year rental, or you can start to get Kennedy Brooks some snaps and start building towards your future backfield.
Dude, I like Kennedy Brooks in the spring game. I'm on record as being
or T.J. Pledger.
A Kennedy Brooks fan. Yeah, we didn't even get to see T.J. Pledger, so I don't really have a strong opinion on him.
Kennedy Brooks led the DFW area in rushing as a senior on a team that, Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, okay, not anything just terrific. So that tells me that he must be pretty damn good.
His junior year especially. His junior year, they were a legitimate state title contender. I mean, I don't think they were going to get there, but, I mean, they were – if you'd have told me they got to semis that year, I could have bought it. I mean, like I said, they're not the Cedar – like, not consistently great like the Cedar Hills and some of that kind of stuff. But definitely, Mansfield's a good team, a good program.
I think if he continues to put on good weight, he could be a really good running back from what I've seen so far.
He has a really good build.
And as I've said before, the same guy that was his head coach his junior year was Tanner Mordecai's head coach his senior year at Midway. He made the move down from Mansfield to Waco Midway. So,
speaking of Tanner Mordecai, wasn't not bad. Wasn't disappointed with anything I saw in him.
Guys,
when compared to the other guys.
The last great quarterback with the number 15, Jeff Hostetler.
I was going to say Brent Rawls.
Oh, Drew Allen.
Drew Allen, yeah.
How can you forget the great Drew Allen?
The pride of San Antonio before BFJ. He was back in town yesterday.
He hangs out with BFJ.
Does he?
Drew Allen was one of the first kids to ever tell me to my face that he didn't have an OU offer when I knew damn well he had an OU offer.
That sounds very Drew Allen.
I always thought
I didn't know Drew
Allen
funny, very well, but that sounds very Drew.
Yeah, he likes to screw with people.
He likes to goof around for sure. He, like I said, nice kid. Always liked dealing with him, but just was a little bit of a goofball.
That's what happens when you come from money.
What school did he go to?
Churchill.
Same school as Dimitri?
Is that right?
No, Dimitri went to Churchill.
Wasn't the story about him like his parents had a ranch right next to the AT&T guy's ranch?
Well, I know what's his name used to always go out there and hunt it with him. Lance Berkman, yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was like one of their, I mean, like he's not just like kind of wealthy. He's like real wealthy.
He was real wealthy.
Alamo
like real
Heights.
Money.
That was
Alamo Heights. That's it.
That just sounds like a rich
I had some
school.
fraternity brothers from
Alamo Heights. That's right.
Yeah, that. I can think of one in Fort Worth, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's the Heights, and you're like, that's not a wealthy school. But generally, if I hear the Heights, I'm like, I'm going to guess that's a good place to go to school.
All right. Well, I think we've exhausted ourselves. I know I've exhausted my voice somehow. So yeah, spring practice going. Want to mention it one more time while you're listening. If you've ever thought about subscribing, now is the time to do it. We all know the Jordan gear, the hottest stuff on the planet right now, the OU Jordan gear. You can get it in our Rivals fan shop, and we will give you a $99 gift certificate to buy as much Jordan gear as you can possibly buy just for signing up for a year of Sooner Scoop. So $99 for a year of Sooner Scoop, $99 gift certificate. Basically, we know you want the Jordan gear, so boom, it's essentially a free year to Sooner Scoop. And then hopefully you'll get addicted to it and you won't be able to live without us after that. And this is only if you're not a subscriber currently or you're a new subscriber. Go to our Twitter page. It has links there for you. If you're a new user, how to sign up. If you're a registered user but you're not currently a member, it has a link there for you too. And you use the promo code GetGear99 and we will send you a gift certificate through your email address that you register with. And let me tell you this. This is also, if you are like a registered user and you have an old email address that you can't access anymore, dump it and start over, because you have to be able to, we're going to email you these gift certificates. That's a big problem that we tend to have with this. The email on file, you need to have one that you can access. If it's an old account and it's got like an OU EDU email or something, you can't access it anymore, dump that account and start over.
Yeah,
otherwise,
so
you'll never get your gift card.
Don't give some bunk email. You're going to need the right email.
Otherwise, you're not going to get your $99 gift certificate. So go sign up. It's the best deal that you're going to get from us. Supplies, only while supplies last. Yahoo Sports gives us a number of these, and when they run out, they run out. We can't do it anymore. So I can't even tell you. You might be listening to this podcast in 3 days. It might be over by then.
And we are selling like crazy at the moment.
At the moment, since we started this podcast, I think we've almost doubled signups. So
yep.
It's going fast, and like I said, Jordan gear, we know it's popular, but you can load up on it. Basically costs you nothing for a full year of Sooner Scoop. So go sign up. We appreciate y'all listening to the podcast. A lot of big changes to come. We're excited to announce those to you here very soon. All your listening, all your supporting of the podcast has really paid off in a big way. We'll let you know more about that here in another week or two. So thanks for listening. Thanks to Josh. Thanks to Eddie. Thanks to Bob, who took off to do some of his own radio. And we'll see you guys back here next week with a lot more practice information in tow on the Unofficial 40 on Soonerscoop.com.
Podcasts from Soonerscoop.com.